So today's class is on pancreas. So the very first thing is, what is this pancreas? So this is the an organ, you can say, in an animal body, which is comprises of or having the capabilities of exocrine as well as the endocrine. So basically, we made this thing into two parts, exocrine and endocrine. So this pancreas, that is a dual organ, and are having function in endocrine, that is the production of hormones. And the other thing is the exocrine, that is this organ can also be treated, or they can also be function for the secretion of various digestive juices, which is required for the metabolism of carbohydrate, fats, and lipids. So basically, when we talk about these things, the functions of this pancreas, so we will first resume from the exocrine functions. So this exocrine function, that means this is the organ which releases various type of pancreatic juice, which is required for the digestion. So this digestion consists of proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and they also neutralize the action of acidic media, because basically what happens in an animal, the stomach, the compartment, it is comprised of acidic medium. But to maintain this thing, this acidic medium, this pancreatic juice also served as the media to convert this acidic into the alkaline media. So as it neutralizes the things. So if we talk about these proteins, so these proteins, these are carried out by the proteolytic enzymes, and to say the trypsin and chymotrypsin. So basically, these proteolytic enzymes, the trypsin and chymotrypsin, these are the things which is essentially required for the breakdown of proteins and make it consumable, or you can say it helps in the metabolism of the proteins. So this trypsin also helps in digestion of milk and in blood clotting. Okay. So this is a very basic thing regarding the proteins. Regarding the carbohydrates, various pancreatic amylase, which is present or which can be secreted from this pancreas, they convert the starch, the starch and the dextrins, the starch into dextrins and maltose. So by the conversion of this starch into dextrin and maltose, they also helps the carbohydrates to make it metabolize. Basically, it is catabolic. So while we're talking about the lipids, so this pancreatic lipids, this is a powerful lipolytic enzyme. This pancreas consists of the powerful lipolytic enzymes. I mean to say, they can break down the lipases, the lipids. With the help of this pancreas, they can break down these lipids and make it absorbed into the animal's body. So these lipids, the pancreas is accelerated in the presence of bile. Whatever the lipids have taken by the animal in their food contents, that will have to break down. That will be due to the presence of bile. So almost about 80% of fat is digested by the pancreatic lipase. So when we talk about this pancreatic lipase digestion, so basically two main factors are required to make it digested. The very first thing is the emulsification of fats. So whatever the lipids an animal require, that have to break down into a smaller component so that the smaller element you can say, so that the particles can be digested. So to emulsify these protein, or sorry, to emulsify these fat molecules, bile salts are essentially needed. And colipase, that is a coenzyme, it is also necessarily required to hydrolyze various dietary lipids. So now you have got two things. The first one is the bile salts, and the second one is the coenzyme, that is the colipase. So the deficiency, or if you can say, then if any reason this pancreatic lipase will be not available, then it will leads to the excretion of undigested fat through the feces. Mean to say, anyhow, the pancreas should release this bile salts or colipase. Otherwise, what will happen? The digestion of lipids can't be done. So, whatever the lipid materials will be intake by the animal, that have to undigested, and that undigested material will come out from the feces. So this is regarding the lipids, and we'll be talking about the neutralizing action. So this is really done with the various steps which I am just going to organize. The very first thing is the acid chyme. So this acid chyme, this enters into the intestine, and that comes from the liver, which is essentially required. Okay. So this acid chyme, what this does? This make you can say this spread acidic medium into the stomach and intestine. So while the pancreatic juice releases from the pancreas, this will release a much amount of bicarbonates into the vessel or into the vat. So in the presence of this bicarbonate ions, whatever the pancreatic juice is being evolved or secreted, that will be alkaline. So it will neutralize the acidity of the chyme and make it neutralize. So the neutralization is also be important because it will protect the intestine from the destructive action of the chyme. So basically what this does, if there will be a segregated or propagated action of intestine will be remain, then it will make the things proper working in their certain pH. So pH maintenance has to be also required. So this pH will be maintained with the help of this bicarbonate ions, which comes from the pancreatic juice. So while secretion of pancreatic juice, various enzymes there come in action. So exactly what happens? These pancreatic enzymes, they are derived from the amino acids, and they are synthesized in ribosomes. So each and every cell have the ribosomes, and they are responsible for the secretion or derivation of amino acids. Okay. So it will lead to release the or secrete the pancreatic enzymes. And these pancreatic enzymes or this pancreatic juice, they are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. These amino acids, which comes from the ribosomes, they are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum of acinar cells in pancreas. So in the later slide, I will show you the picture. So this will attach to the endoplasmic reticulum of acinar cells, and after synthesis, After synthesis of this pancreatic enzymes, they are packed by Golgi apparatus and they have been stored in the cytoplasm. So as and when there is need of this pancreatic juice, that will be come out from the cytoplasm and come in the action to make digestibility of various types of proteins, amino acids, carbohydrates, and lipids. So whenever there is stimulation occurs in the acinar cells, they will release the pancreatic juice. Okay. So here the main thing is that stimulation is required. And this stimulation will release from the acinar cells stimulation. So this will generally consist of three phases. Basically three phases. That is the cephalic phase, gastric phase, and intestinal phase. So regarding cephalic phase, this is the secretion of pancreatic juice by stimuli, which arises from the head region. Head region means the cephalic. So that is called the cephalic phase. So this phase is direct under the control of nervous system. That is central nervous system. And this gastric phase, this is the phase in which the pancreatic juices were secreted when there is the availability of food in the stomach. So to make the neutralization of the pH and for proper work of the pancreatic juice is required. So that's why this gastric phase is also very much essentially needed. And this phase is directly under the control of hormones. So many hormones are there, which is required for the breakdown and the assimilation of whatever the things that animals have obtained. The next thing is the intestinal phase. Because once the food comes to the cephalic phase, then it passes towards the gastric phase and lastly ends up to the intestinal phase. So during the intestinal phase, this pancreatic juice again secreted when there is presence of chyme is allowed. So whenever the chyme enters into the intestine, that is the acidic medium, then again the acinar cells will come in active action and they secrete the pancreatic juice. And this intestinal phase is also comes under the hormonal control. So basically, these things are the exocrine functions of the pancreas. While talking about the endocrine functions, that is it consists of especially these four actions. The isolate of Langerhans, actions of insulin, glucagon, and somatostatin. So basically what happens? Assume it the picture of Langerhans, isolate of Langerhans, and it consists of the various alpha cells, beta cells, and delta cells. As you can see, so there are three different pictures by which you can understand the things. What is the properties or the function of this isolate of Langerhans? Because these consist of the alpha cells. You can see it. This alpha cell that is responsible for the secretion of glucagon. This beta cells that is responsible for the secretion of insulin, and this delta cell that secretes the somatostatin. So here three different features or the structures you can see that is differentiated themselves. So these endocrine cells, they are present inward the cell, and just beneath this endocrine cells, there are various flower-like structures that are known as exocrine. And these cells are responsible for the secretion or initiation of the acinar cells and the duct cells. So among these also various blood vessels are present. Uh, So this is the theme, how they come in action and what they do relate. So basically, one of the picture, this tells about the beta cells. So whenever there is destroyment or destruction of beta cell will occur, then it will lead to tends the, you can see the diabetes mellitus type 1. So there are two types of diabetes, you know already very well, type 1 and type 2. So we are put together here to recognize these things. But on the basic, the very basic thing we will discuss. So regarding the islet of Langerhans, so these are the endocrine function that is performed by this islet of Langerhans. And basically they are consist of four types of cells. That is alpha, beta, delta, and F or PP cells. So this alpha cells is responsible for the secretion of glucagon, beta cells for insulin, delta cells that will secrete the somatostatin, which helps in the growth, and this F or PP cell that is secrete pancreatic polypeptide, which is responsible for the metabolism in metabolism of this the polypeptides, various polypeptides. So regarding insulin, this is helpful in the metabolism of carbohydrate. So this insulin is anti-diabetic hormone, which reduces the blood sugar level. So this insulin, you can say some properties are there, like if the transport will increase, the uptake of glucose. Whenever there is increased uptake of glucose or their transportation to the blood or in the circulation, that will leads to the metabolism of carbohydrate, which is required. So for promoting this peripheral utilization of glucose, okay. So mean to say this insulin is also required for the proper utilization of glucose in the peripheral cells. So it also leads to glycogenesis. So glycogenesis means the storage of glucose. It will promote the storage of glucose. It will convert it into the glucose, and whenever there is a requirement of excess amount of energy, then this glucose will come in action and meet out the energy requirement what the animal is needed in a proper duration or at a certain duration. It also inhibit the glycogenolysis so as to maintain the normal metabolic status of the animal. It also inhibit gluconeogenesis. Okay, these things you know very well. So this will things also comes under the different metabolism. Mean to say the protein or the fat. So under protein metabolism, this insulin they facilitates the synthesis and storage of proteins and inhibits various cellular utilization. So this will leads with the energy conservation or the ATPs. Mean to say whenever there is requirement as per the metabolism is wiped out and excess energy is required, then this storage stored things will be applied at that particular instance. So regarding this fat metabolism, the insulin stimulates the synthesis of fats and stored in the adipose tissue. Why it is so? Because it is the thing which comes only when there is excess storage of fat is done. So that's why telling that if an animal is getting so much fast or more quantity of this fat, rather than the quantity which is to be required to the animal in a certain period. So excess of the fat will be metabolized, but it will stored in the adipose tissues. So regarding growth, so along with growth hormone, this somatostatin also helps in the anabolic action, and at the same time, this insulin also promotes this proteins for the anabolic action of the body, which is required during the various metabolic activities. So this is a very basic thing say regarding the insulin, this glucagon. So this glucagon is antagonist to insulin. Meant to say, this insulin have the tendency to produce the things, and in contrast to this activity of glucagon, this is required. So mean to say, the alpha and the beta cells. So they are acting at the condition when there is requirement of things is required to the animal body. Basically, this glucagon, this increases the blood sugar level, while the insulin that controls the blood sugar level and meet the animal as and when it is required. So regarding this peripheral utilization of lipids, again the glucagon is required, and it will facilitate the conversion of proteins into glucose. So in during the exercise or in harsh condition, when the animal is required lot of energy, then this glucagon facilitates the energy requirement or to meet the energy requirement of the animal in any harsh condition. So this glucagon also inhibits the secretion of gastric juice. Okay, so you can understand the various thing that whenever there is secretion of gastric juices is more. When to say it will, when it will more. The secretion of gastric juice will occur only when there is the thing or the food material present in the stomach. So if the compartment is anyhow emptied or maybe digested, then the glucagon will come in action and it will again inhibit the gastric juice. This glucagon also increases the secretion of bile from the liver. That is also required for the proper metabolism. So regarding the carbohydrate metabolism, this glucagon, they increase the glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis also. So for protein metabolism, they increases the transport of amino acids for the essential requirement of gluconeogenesis. So whenever there is a gluconeogenesis, that will, whenever there is a requirement of extra glucose in the body, then this protein metabolism will come in action, and it will leads to increase the transport of amino acids. Likewise, fat metabolism that have the capability for lipolytic and ketogenic action. So by this action, they can destruct or they just catabolize the lipids and the fat molecules to be digested and absorbed to the body. So regarding the different cells, you can have a picture that this is a pancreas. Okay, so this have isolate of Langerhans, the beta cells, and in the muscle. So how the things which is transported towards the muscle fiber, the energy things in the beta cells, it whatever the things that will come towards the blood vessel, and this insulin is rather transported to the various aspect, that is from the muscle fiber to the different cells of the body where there is required. So this is a basic thing, and the last slide is on the somatostatin. I mean to say, this somatostatin, they acts within the islets of Langerhans, and they have the property to inhibit this insulin and glucagon, to say the alpha or beta cell. So by the decrease, they decrease the motility of stomach, duodenum, and gallbladder. So as you can understand that this inhibits alpha and beta cells, mean to say, whenever there is requirement of energy things or the feed materials, whenever there is present the feed materials in the stomach, that will lead to come in action of the alpha and beta cells, or it initiates the alpha and beta cells for the proper metabolism and the catabolism. But whenever there is low quantity of feed is available in the stomach or in the intestine part, then the somatostatin will come in action and it will decrease the motility of the stomach, duodenum, as well as the gallbladder, so that these alpha and beta cells can be in dormant stage, and it will help to reduce the secretion of various gastrointestinal hormones, like especially like gastrin. So this hypothalamic somatostatin, this inhibits the secretion of growth hormone and TSH. Okay. So this hypothalamic somatostatin, here I am talking. So hypothalamic somatostatin will inhibit the secretion of growth hormone and TSH. Otherwise, it will do the same thing which is required for the proper metabolism of an animal. Mean to say, so this will also known as GHIS, that is the growth hormone inhibitory trigger. So it also inhibits the growth hormone, this somatostatin. Two types of things are there, somatostatin and somatotropic. So somatostatin is a very regarding thing which is required under the this thing.